Okay. Hello, everybody. So I just got off work, hence I'm in my pajamas still. And my body felt kind of stiff, and my hips and my back were kind of just not feeling it after having sat all day long. So I wanted to do a quick little kind of after work pick me up yoga stretch, just a quick little sequence that I think would be helpful for most people to feel a little more energized after a long day at work, after maybe if you sit all day at work. Even if you don't sit all day at work, this would be a good little way to kind of like stretch out your muscles, get some blood flow to the lower half of your body, and kind of loosen up the upper half of your body. So yeah, let's go ahead and begin. I would suggest having some blocks. If you don't have blocks, books, or maybe like short little stools, like little step stools can work, if you have anything like that. And then I would also suggest like a blanket or a bolster or something just to prop your hips up on, or to place underneath your hips for some poses. You can use a blanket, you can use a bolster if you have one, but just like a rolled up blanket should do fine. And yeah, so we'll go ahead and begin. So I would suggest working on a mat or on a hard surface. And we'll just start at the top of our mat. Get your feet organized. Your big toes point slightly inward. Press into the ground with your toes and stretch your toes apart. And then as you stretch your toes and press your feet into the ground, you can grow taller, and you do so without jerking your knees back. So go ahead and engage your quadricep muscles. If you need to wake those up, you can go ahead and kind of just pat them a little bit. Never hurts to kind of stimulate the muscles by touch. Gets the brain focusing on that section of the body. So go ahead and draw up your quadriceps. Your feet should be about hip joint distance apart. So not hip width, but hip joint, which is kind of more like in the middle of your leg. So for me, that's about here. And then my feet are placed like this, pressing into the ground, lifting. My quads are engaged. My knees are not swooped. Okay. So let's go ahead and just do a couple shoulder rolls. If you sit at a desk all day long, it's easy for our necks to get stiff, our upper backs to get stiff. So some gentle shoulder rolls. You don't have to press as far as you can. That can actually create tension. Rather, just kind of roll them around in the range of movement that they allow. And then reverse direction. Remember to breathe. And then on your next inhale and swoop your arms up over your head. Exhale, bring your arms down by your side. Inhale, bring your arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Bring your hands to your hips. Come forward, bend your knees slightly. You can grab your blocks, stools, books, whatever it is you have, and place your hands, put them in the tallest position, and place your hands on the tops. And then while your knees are bent, be mindful that your knees don't just collapse in. So engage your glutes and press your feet into the ground. Round out your lower back. So it's easy to kind of want to dip like that. So just round it out. Imagine your tailbone is curling up underneath you like a C shape. Bend your knees, engage your glutes, press your feet into the ground, round your tailbone under, and then slowly with your quadriceps and your toes, your big toes pressing into the ground, straighten your legs, and if you can, come a little further down. This will get you traction through your whole upper back and spine. If you can bring your hands to the floor, that's awesome. If you can't, that's okay. You can bring your hands to any level that's ideal for you, or you can feel the stretch but it's not painful. Sometimes you might just have to be in this position. And stay here for a second and breathe. All right. Bend your knees if they were straightened. Place your hands on your hips. Come up. Inhale. Straighten your legs. Reach your arms over your head. And exhale, arms back down at your side. Okay, we're going to flow through a quick little sun salutation. So we'll start in standing. Inhale, bring your arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. You can place your hands on your hips if it helps. Round your tailbone underneath you. Bend your knees slightly. Hands to floor or bricks. Lift, straighten your legs. Don't jam your knees. Press your feet into the ground. Engage your quads. And then bend your knees. Exhale, step back into downward dog. You can do this on bricks. You can do this on a chair. If you need to use a chair, you'll place your hands on the seat of the chair. I'd suggest pressing it up against a wall so you can trust it a little easier, that it won't slide if you have a slippery floor. So put your hands on the chair, organize your shoulders, press your hands, press your legs up, and it'll feel kind of like that. Your legs may be more straight than someone who's down here. So like by straight, I mean more vertical up and down as opposed to at an angle like this. So come into down dog, however the modification suits you. And then inhale, come forward into plank. In plank, you can drop your knees if you need to. Your elbows face each other. The inner parts of your elbows face each other. Shoulders are in their sockets. Your inner third of your hand presses into the ground. So your index finger and your thumb press into the ground. As you're in this, and you will feel it in your serratus and in your back of your arm and in your biceps. That's where the support comes from. Is in the side of the upper side of your rib cage and your triceps. Again, curl your tailbone underneath. Sorry, we were in plank. Plank, and come down to chaturanga. Keep your spine straight, including your neck, and then press up, coming through your chest into up dog. Inhale, roll back into down dog. Now, if that sequence isn't completely accessible to you, that's okay. Instead of doing up dog all the way, you can do cobra, which is if you come down to your belly with your pubic bone on the floor, and then press up with your hands without moving your pubic bone off the floor, and stretch up into your collarbones, and then come back down. And then come up into down dog after up dog or cobra. And then walk your hands or your feet between your hands. Bend your knees. Place your hands on your hips. Inhale, come up. Arms up overhead. And exhale. Okay, let's do that one more time, a little quicker. So inhale. I'm going to add in chair pose, and I'm going to add in a couple of standing poses. So we'll move through a little quicker, but it's not going to be too much different than what we just did. So inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, chair position. You want to be mindful not to let your knees collapse inward. Again, same with standing. Press your feet into the ground. Engage your glutes. Roll your pelvis underneath you, your tailbone underneath you. Engage your quads. And then exhale, fold forward, straighten your legs. Halfway lift. Don't arch your back down. Keep your tailbone rounded. Exhale, forward fold. Step back into down dog. Inhale, bring your left foot between your hands. Have your bricks at your ready. Place your hands on your bricks or your blocks or whatever you have. Organize your feet. Your knee will be pointing over your pinky toe or closer to your pinky toe. And you can either stay here and rest your hands on the bricks, engaging your hamstring and your quads on that front leg, and engaging your hamstring and your glutes on that front leg, as well as kind of your quads, and also engaging your hamstrings and your glutes on your back leg and your quads, using that to press your leg up into your pelvis and using that energy to bring you up. Now, if you don't feel the balance to come up in this position, that's fine. You can stay on your bricks. Just make sure you're engaging those muscles I just mentioned. So then if you can't come up though, bring your hands on your hips. Act as if you're lifting your pelvis. Inhale. Engage that back glute. Engage that back quad. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Bring your hand to your pubic plate. One hand to your pubic plate, another hand to your spine, your lower back, and press. Feel that rotation. And then, as you feel that rotation of bringing your pelvic bone forward and your tailbone under, you can feel that stretch in that front quad. Now come back down to your bricks. And then bring your left foot back and your right foot forward. So same thing, different side. Align your knee with your pinky toe or ring toe. Engage your hamstrings and your glutes. Engage the glutes on your back leg and your quads and your hamstrings to support that leg. And press it into your pelvis. Now you can either stay here, supported by your bricks, or on your next inhale, come up. And don't be surprised if one side is more stable than the other. Don't be surprised if you might be more inclined to wobble on one leg more than the other. That's okay. Feel your body. See where it needs your strength. So on this side, my right leg is more inclined to be sleepy. So I'm really trying to make sure that it is sharing its load of my weight. If you do come up into the full upright position, then place your hands on your hips. Inhale and breathe longer length into your pelvis. And breathe that length up into your spine, rotating that tailbone under and rotating the pubic bone forward. Engage your glutes. Feel that stretch in the front of your back leg. All right, come back to your bricks. Bring your left foot forward. So now you have both feet at the front of your mat. You're in a forward fold on your bricks. We'll do kind of a half lift position. Rotate your pelvis underneath you, your tailbone underneath you, and drop your head. And inhale. And then lengthen your spine. Take your hands off the bricks. Exhale forward. And let your upper body just cascade over your legs. Maintain strength in your legs, stability without rigidity. Okay, bend your knees. Inhale. Come into chair pose. Tuck your tailbone under, lengthen your spine, keep your knees from collapsing by engaging your glutes, and inhale, stand straight. Exhale, bring your arms down by your side. Awesome. So go ahead and grab your bricks, one in each hand, or whatever you have. Come to the center of your mat, and you can either jump or you can walk your feet out to the side. I would not recommend jumping for people with sciatica. So if you have low back pain or pinched nerves in your lower back, I would not suggest it. I'm not going to jump because I do get lower back pain and I have sciatica. So I will just step my feet apart. Now, with this, it's easy to let our knees kind of collapse in. You can see that the outer edge of my foot is lifting. And so it's making my weight ride on that inner blade of my foot, so it's collapsing my arch. So rather than pressing my knees out, what I'll do is I'll engage my glutes, rotate the upper parts of my legs out, so you can feel that when you engage your glute, it wants to rotate your quads, kind of like that. So engage your glutes, let that engagement turn your knees, facing more in the direction of your feet, and then turn your left foot to face forward. And the same principle applies. So you'll want to keep that glute engaged to keep that rotation of your femur bone, so your knee stays in line with your middle of your foot or closer to the outer edge of your foot. Now, place your hands on your hips, lift your pelvis like we did earlier, press your toes, and place even weight in your feet. And that back foot, you'll feel, it might be a little tight in that hip rotator. I know it is for me almost always. But just feel it you'll feel that stretch and you'll feel kind of some release in there. And then slowly bend that front knee. You don't want to go over your ankle with the knee, so either keep it slightly behind or no more than 90 degrees. Keep that back leg rotated so the knee is facing more or less in the same direction as the foot. And lift. Straighten that front leg. And exhale, bend the front knee. Engage both quads. Ooh, my hip just popped. Nice. And then bring your hands out to warrior two. Woo! Feel it, baby, feel it. Lift your chest, lengthen your spine. Excellent. If you're feeling wild, we can do reverse warrior. So bring your hand to your back leg, lift your front hand up without sacrificing your legs, and you'll feel a stretch in the front of your belly. And then now bring your hands back to your hips, straighten that front leg, bring your feet forward again, and then let's do the other leg. All right, so same thing, different side. Again, don't be surprised if it's vastly different from the other side. Okay, so rotate that knee. Don't overdo it. You can feel where it's like, whoa, that's too much. Don't go past that. Go to the place where maybe it feels challenging, but it's not painful. Like maybe it's a little harder to hold your glute there, but that's okay because it's strengthening. But not where it's painful, where it's causing pain in your hip, or pain in your ankles, or pain in your knee. Adjust your stance, the length of the space between your feet as needed. And then whenever you're ready, and you feel aligned and stable, bend that front knee. Lift your pelvis, sink a little deeper. This will give you a good span in your adductors and in your pelvic plates, and it'll help kind of loosen up the tightness in our legs. When we're sitting at a desk all day long, our adductors tend to fold in and they get tight and cramped. And so when we're after work, it's good to open up those muscles. Now if you want to feel twirly again, reverse warrior. Lift your chest to the sky and come back down. All right, awesome. So let's go ahead and point both our feet forward. Bring your feet in a little bit, but not too far. That's where our bricks will come in. So go ahead and get your knees aligned, your glutes engaged. Lift your pelvis, hands to your hips, and then come forward in a wide-legged forward bend. You can bend your knees a little bit. This will help give you a good stretch on the outer side of your legs, your quads. It releases the IT band. You'll get some good stretch in your hamstrings. And you can use your bricks or your chair, wherever you feel most comfortable. And you can go down to any height. Again, it's not about pain, but you can feel a little bit of challenge, and that's okay. So bring your hands out just slightly in front of you. Your hips should be in line with your ankles as far as you don't want your hips too far forward or too far back, straining any of your muscles, but kind of nice and in between, the Goldilocks place. And if you can, go ahead and straighten your legs, but don't force it. It's okay if they stay bent. It's a good stretch. Inhale, halfway lift in this pose as well. Bring your hands back to your hips, bend your knees. Inhale, come up. Okay, bring your feet together. You can heel toe it in, or you can jump. Again, I don't recommend jumping for people with sciatica. All right, go ahead and grab your bricks again. Come to the front of your mat. And just stand for a second and feel your legs, feel your body. I feel refreshed. My legs feel awake. I can feel my quads. I can feel the strength of my legs. All right, and inhale, bring your arms up over your head. Exhale, bend your knees, forward fold to your bricks. Whenever you're ready, come down to all fours. We'll do cat-cow. So you'll place your fingertips parallel, the middle fingertips parallel to the front edge of your mat. You'll press your inner quarter of your hand into the ground, so your index finger and your thumb. You'll make sure the eyes of your elbows are facing each other. Your shoulders are in their sockets. And your serratus, so the side of your ribs, is engaged. And you'll take a breath in neutral spine. And on your exhale, press up. Now don't force the roundness in your back. Just think of your tailbone dropping and your head dropping, and that's what creates the curve. You'll feel a good span in your shoulder blades. And then when you inhale, lift your tailbone, bring your chest through your collarbones, and lift your head. You'll curve in the opposite direction. Again, no forcing. It's not about how hard you can arch your back, but it's about traction in your spine. Exhale, round up. Inhale, arch your back, lift your tailbone and your collarbones. Come back to neutral spine, and come back with your arms stretched out in front of you into baby's pose. Now in this pose, you might want your bolster or your blanket. If you're kind of tight in your hips, you can put like a blanket between your feet and your calves to kind of make it a little easier to bend back. You can also rest on a bolster. So a blanket or like a couch cushion can help with that. If you're doing it without props, you'll want your knees far enough apart that your belly and your chest can fit through, and you can press your hands forward. And your big toes touch. And again, you want your tailbone rounding down and under you. Come back to all fours. And then sit back behind your feet in cross-legged position. Now you can sit on your blanket or a bolster, whatever might make it easier on your knees. You want to make sure that your calf, like this part of your shin, stays nice straight line. You don't want it collapsing like that, if you can see the difference in my ankle. So keep your feet like this. You can sit, sometimes it's more comfortable to sit on like a little blanket to elevate your pelvis. Yeah, that's a little more comfortable for my hips. So just listen to your body, adjust as needed. Go ahead and sit here, just kind of breathe for a second. Root your tailbone and your pelvis into the ground. Let your hips relax and melt into the ground. Breathe into your belly. Let your breath lift your chest. Inhale, bring your right arm or right hand to your left knee and your left hand back behind you. And gently twist on your exhale. Now again, the twist isn't about jamming your back around, but follow your belly button. So your belly button kind of drives it. And don't go to where you start feeling tension. If you start to feel like you have to force yourself to get a twist, or you start to feel tension in your back out of that position. So maybe you can only go to here, and that's fine. Listen to your body. If that's where you can go, then that's good for your body. Don't go anywhere that is going to compromise your spine or compromise the balance in your body. Inhale and exhale. See if you can get a little more twist. Inhale, come back to center. Same thing, other side. Left hand to right knee, right hand back behind you. Inhale, exhale, twist. Relax your pelvis. Melt it into the ground or your blanket. Inhale, come out of the twist a little. Exhale, go back in. Inhale, come forward. Go ahead and bring your feet out in front of you into staff pose. If that's not comfortable for you, that's okay. You can stay in. We can go to cobbler's pose. Just find a sitting position that's comfortable for you. You can use a brick or a block to place underneath your legs to kind of support them so that they may relax. I'm going to place my leg in swastika pose just for a second to see how that feels. Not loving it today. So I'll just sit with my bricks. And we'll just go inward for a second. Or don't. Feel your pelvis rest into your blanket or the floor. Close your eyes. Feel your face. Feel your jaw. It may have been a long day at work today, but you've gotten in a good yoga session. Feel your body, how your body responded. Yoga brings us balance. Yoga can bring us energy. Even when we feel drained at the end of a long day, sometimes a little bit of yoga movement can bring us that burst of energy we need to carry out any other functions we need in the rest of the afternoon. It can help set us up for a good night's sleep, to realign our bodies after a long day at the office or on a job. And then just come back to your center. We spend so much time in our heads. We're always thinking about the next place to go or the next thing we have to do. It's good to just come back to our bodies. Find that sensation of calm. Bring your hands together in prayer position. Inhale. Exhale. Blink your eyes open. And namaste. Thank you. I hope this was a helpful afternoon after work session, and I'll see you next time.